Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We got here about 4 topics. One has to do with massive Russian attack on Ukraine. I covered that in a video a minute ago. I uploaded it. There were more than 100 Russian missiles and more than 100 Russian drones that attacked Ukraine on 2 phases. 2 attacks, one at 3 a.m., 5 a.m., today on Monday, the 26th of August 2024. And on that, Poland gets its air defenses in high alert. And then they claim, the Poles, that a Russian drone entered their airspace. But the reason why I picked this article is not because they say a drone entered our airspace. A drone likely entered our airspace, which for me is like you know or you don't know. It's not like it entered or no. It's likely he entered my house. The cameras say. No, you either know or you don't. So that's what they're trying to do. The Poles, pushed by NATO or maybe by Poland, I don't know exactly, both, NATO being United States of America, just so you know, wants to institute an active no-flight zone over Ukraine, and the Russians said whoever is going to hit or target or shoot after our missiles or drones over Ukraine, those air defense systems, wherever they are located, near Berlin or near Warsaw or wherever, they will be destroyed by the Russian Air Force. So that's the first article. The other one, Zelensky was visited by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And and the West was all ecstatic, thinking that Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, just threw Putin under the bus. The problem is Narendra Modi doesn't throw India under a bus and keeps its interest, which is the Indian people's interest, the nation, however you want to call it, India. Why? Because we must have forgotten this little detail. The elected officials and those bureaucrats that work for our government, that work for us actually, the primary goal is obviously to protect the Constitution, and that is, don't violate it, and to work for our nation's interest, not for others and money supply interest. So Zelensky thinks, or he's okay with India hosting the second so-called Ukraine Peace Summit in India. Remember, the first one was in garbage, not that Switzerland is garbage, but non-neutral garbage. Non-neutral, slip of the tongue, that's what I want to say, but anyway. Not Switzerland per se, but the guys in charge of Switzerland proved that Switzerland hasn't been neutral for some time, as is the case of Norway and Sweden. These guys were considered neutral for some time. They're gone. They blew their cover. They showed who owned them. So this is Zelensky is okay with this peace summit occurring in India. Well, that's too many details we're going to discuss about that one. The other one, Mr. Dr. Anthony Fauci, that rat-looking individual, that guy who I hold responsible for many, many, many things that occurred in the period when he was telling us that I recommend this, but then I recommend this, I recommend this, but then I don't recommend that, I recommend this to be vaccinated as this, as that, and that guy, I'm not a, I'm not a follower or a believer in turn the other cheek and love your enemy I'm not. I like the Jewish dogma, the Jewish Torah, which is an eye for an eye, or Hammurabi's code, whichever, copied whomever. I like that one, an eye for an eye. So Mr. Fauci for me is a bad person. And we have here 3 articles. One, he's got hospitalized. He caught something. And then I'm going to show you how, regarding that hospitalization, 2 different articles explain how great Fauci is. And the other one is Fauci got COVID a few times already, and he's boosted a few times as well. It doesn't mean that the vaccine doesn't work, but I'm just saying how this weasel operates. And then we have Zelensky, who is paranoid. I will show you he's paranoid, and if he's not paranoid, that means the problem that he's trying to tackle, which is treason and traitors, not how do you call it, expansion, not how do you call it, what Stalin did on a few occasions in 1930s, how do you call that? I can't remember right now. When you just eliminate whomever you, can't remember the word, I will find it. Now he's trying to focus on that because it's a serious problem with the traitors in Ukraine. That means there's going to be a, how do you call that? Let me look for the word, otherwise I'll be around here. And like always, it comes whenever I want to do it, is purges. So I think Ukraine has been having big purges in the past 2 years, not 2 years and a half, 2 years, and I think things will increase. Why? Because it seems like there are people who disagree with this guy, that guy, and that guy is, in the name of treason and traitors, he's going to arrest a bunch of people, which is purges. But they don't call it that way. They're calling protecting the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian nation, defending it. So let's start with the first article here, just to get you into the context. Ukrainska Pravda, today, Monday, the 26th of August, 2024. Russian attack on Ukrainian energy sector. Over 100 missiles and 100 Shahed UAVs launched, Zelensky, who is to be believed, said. Now, and the article right here comes from Reuters. And the title reads, Poland says drone likely entered its airspace during Russian attack on Ukraine. Likely. So, how do you know if a drone enters your airspace? Well, I think that you have radars. All right. And you also have visual. What else you got? But a radar will be beep, 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 beep. And you kind of know. No, you know or you don't know if it entered or if it didn't enter your territory. So the Poles likely, I think he's likely guilty. Would you consider that guilty? No. Is he guilty? Did he do it? He likely did it. These were the, if you remember, the outcome of the court hearings in Great Britain about those alleged Russian poisoning with Novichok, remember? Because only the Russians produce it. Not that the other countries have them. No, it's like I use a, let's say a Ruger, or I use, I don't know, Smith & Wesson, must be American, the guy who used it, because the weapon is American. Anyway, they said it was likely. They didn't say the Russians did it. It was likely. Likely is not is. All right, it's possibly, probably. Like you say, well, I think CIA was involved in 1963, the bomb Oswald. Doesn't mean it is. No, I don't have the evidence. But anyway, so here Poland says, why do you think Poland says likely? They should say yes, it entered. Why not? They don't care if the Russians deny it anyway. They want NATO. I don't know exactly. It's the Americans. I would give it 80% Americans, 20% the Poles want to get involved actively in Ukraine, which is institute a no-flight zone. Remember how that worked for Gaddafi in Libya? No-flight zone. NATO, the defensive alliance, went to Africa, North Africa, and told a North African country. NATO is a North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or whatever, European, right? Kind of no, because it's to keep peace in Europe, but it's a defensive organization, right? So that defensive organization went to that North African country of Libya and told the ruler of that country, however he was, that's none of your business how they run their thing over there. But anyway, it's like they would mind how you held your elections, or Kamala Harris being the nominee without being elected, just in front of everybody else. But we have a sound democracy here. So they instituted, in the name of what? Of peace, of the Libyan people, a no-flight zone of Gaddafi. So the other guys, founded by the same guys, could win, and you saw what happened to Gaddafi. The Libyan people did that to him. Why don't you listen to that evil guy, Putin, who says on camera how Gaddafi was apprehended and by whom? pop, zap, boom, boom, and they went and got him. Go and check that out. It's still on YouTube. It doesn't mean Putin tells the truth whatsoever, but Kamala, yes, and Trump and all these guys all the time. So again, these guys want to institute a no-flight zone. That there is our weapons will destroy, which actively help themselves over Ukraine to down incoming missiles and drones. And the Russians said, if you guys do this, just to let you know, this is my reaction in self-defense. Oh, I can't use that, only the guys in the Middle East can use that. Oh, my bad, I take that back. Right? So we were gonna hit the whomever does that. So if that air defense system is in Poland, we're gonna hit inside Poland. It's attacking a NATO country. Well, so be it. As we told you before February 24th, 2022, this is the last time to negotiate. Oh, it's an ultimatum. Because you are next to my territory. What am I supposed to do? We can be over there. Okay, like the Monroe Doctrine. I can be whatever I want in the Western Hemisphere. For 200 years almost, the Americans said, no, whomever comes here in our backyard, that's how they called the South America and Central America, our backyard. Really? You own that? Yeah. Why? We got the military and we can do whatever we want. Kind of, right? So, right, the Poland wants to do that and the Russians will smack them, I guarantee you. And the Poland will be hurt because of NATO and their desire to hit the Russians. Poland said that a drone had likely entered its airspace early on Monday morning during a Russian bombardment of Ukraine, adding that the object may have landed, you know or you don't know, landed on Polish territory and that searches were underway. All right, we'll see. All right, next one. Ukraine's Zelensky says he would support India hosting second summit on peace. All right, great. And here we have this one. Zelensky expresses support for India hosting Ukraine's second peace summit. Now, the first peace summit was a travesty. That is, let's say you have a quarrel with a neighbor, and then they say, first, you're not invited, but let's say you are invited. But all the guys in the court are his friends and relatives and their sponsors. Would you go over there? You would sit in a chair in front of all these guys, and these guys will just judge you. Like you do it in, when the victors win, like, Nuremberg trials, for instance, where we hung those guys, the criminals, right? Or you go to The Hague and the International Criminal Court, where you participate and other people can hang your people, but you can't hang other people's leaders because they're not participants. Again, that was garbage. I would not participate. And besides, why should Russia, who in their view was pushed in a corner with a NATO advancement coming closer and then eventually taking over Ukraine with the coup d'etat in 2014, with the bringing in, we're going to be NATO over here, we're going to bring installations next to you, because we can. What are you going to do about it? Russia is too strong to listen to, I don't know, Albania or whomever participated, or Romania in the peace talks in Switzerland. Don't you think? Would you do that? No, the Americans don't do that. Why do you think the Americans don't extradite their military for alleged crime somewhere else? Because they can, and you can't. But nevertheless, that's the way it is. So next peace summit. The next peace summit would be only like this. If Russia, United States of America, India would be over there, and maybe Ukraine. Ukraine is useless if it's over there, because Ukraine is like talking to Russia like this. And that's the United States of America. So it's useless to bring Ukraine over there. Ukraine is, unfortunately, for the Ukrainian nation. So that could be in India, a neutral territory. Oh no, that's with the Russians. Why? Because they don't want to follow orders from Al Capone? Exactly. So you're with us, otherwise you're against us. There's no middle ground, nothing. Even in the so-called Cold War, they were the unaligned countries. Remember that one? Yugoslavia was part of the unaligned countries, which was not with the Warsaw Pact or with the NATO. Now it seems like you are with me, or I'm gonna. So only like that I would see India hosting. If India hosts the same garbage as it was hosted in Switzerland, I guarantee you Russia will not participate. Why? Stay in front of Romania? Anyway, let's go and see Mr. Fauci. No, I'm not going to go to cemetery yet. The Independent. This is 2 days ago. Anthony Fauci hospitalized after testing positive for West Nile virus. You say, oh my God, what's the connection? Well, I'm going to show you. You see, that's okay. Pop, pop, pop. Here's a face of a rat. Pop, pop, pop. Dr. Fauci dismisses CDC COVID distortion. Pop, pop. It's a kind of balanced, but not really. First, they tell us that he was hospitalized for testing positive for West Nile virus. Now, who can make this statement? The hospital cannot make this statement. The hospital personnel or the hospital cannot provide your diagnostic to the public. That's confidential. Unless you go as a, let's say, investigator and you you send a request, sign a request, maybe signed by a judge, to access the information of the patient. But you can't distribute the information to the public. That's confidential. So if they say that he was hospitalized with West Nile virus, it's coming from Fauci himself saying, yes, that's what it is. Or he allowed someone else to speak in behalf of him. Is it trustworthy? I don't trust anything what the rat says. So this is one article, but I'm going to show you how the other article is work in behalf of this little weasel. Now here, Dr. Anthony Fauci recovering from at home after being hospitalized with West Nile virus. How do I know it is not COVID-19? They say so. Okay, and I believe them. And look at this picture. So from the very beginning, you understand that this article, without reading anything, you don't need to read further. First, the fact that they put a doctor over there, they don't put, let's say, engineer over there, or pipe layer, or truck driver. No, they say only doctor is this respect, all right? No, only doctor. And a few others. Everybody else doesn't deserve respect. So by this and by the face and by this, you understand that this is a pro-Fauci weasel rat article. Monday, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who, this you already right here, you can't believe this, who helped millions of Americans navigate the health challenges of the pandemic, is recovering at home after being hospitalized for a West Nile infection. You got this? So, who helped millions navigate the health challenges of the pandemic. For my perspective, as a baboon that I am, I think he stopped many people. All right, and after he's gonna be dead one day, like we all will be, some people will be allowed, not there because people already speak out, but will be allowed to say, yeah, but actually he was and they'll say, oh yeah, and they will agree with that. But he's dead. What are you gonna do? Done. But the children that were affected, people's health affected by his helping to navigate, like the baboons and his big daddy. All you need to do is, he was a politician. Nevertheless, and let's go to the article from Washington Examiner. I just found it here. I found it in a different media outlet, but I'm using this because it's the lowest hanging fruit. Fauci touts vaccine boosters and masks after getting COVID. This is important. Getting COVID-19 for the third time. And here it is. Now, obviously, this is not really, it's a mixed message article. So, the former doctor of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases recommended vaccine boosters and masking after he recently contracted COVID-19 again. I got infected about 2 weeks ago. It was my third COVID-19 infection, and I had been vaccinated and boosted a total of 6 times. And he tells me something that we don't know. But he's a doctor, he's a medic. So, medicine works on evidence, But no, this guy is going to make a presumption. And I'm going to show you the presumption the doctor makes right here, which they used against the baboons. It was a very, very mild infection. I'm 83 years old. I would think that if I were naive immunologically, this thing could have killed me. Now, that's an assumption. You don't know. Maybe you didn't catch it. But it didn't even make me significantly ill. All right? So you know what it is? So that tells you that I would think that because of these things, I have it mild. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. Now, we're not going to go into vaccines because, you know, the vaccines, one time I was banned by these guys talking about reading the definition of the vaccines. Reading it. And remember the polio vaccine? All right. You got the message? Now, here it is. We don't know if he was hospitalized now for Nile virus or maybe for another COVID, and he's recovering at home. Thank God. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.